This is your stimulus payout update as of April 20th, so let's just get right into it. At this point, we know that 171 million Americans were slated to get a stimulus payout check or direct deposit. So far, only 80 million people have seen that payout, which means 90 million Americans are still waiting on it. So who are these individuals that are still waiting at this point? Approximately 50 million of them are on Social Security, so either receiving regular Social Security or SSDI, including survivors. About 15 million of them are veterans. About 5 million of them receive SSI, 19.5 million of them are regular tax filers or non-filers, and about 500,000 of them are receiving RRB benefits. So the best thing I can do for you on this episode is share with you the most updated information we have on when each of these groups can expect to finally receive their payout. The best information the IRS gave us on the timing of those receiving Social Security benefits and when they can expect to see their payout is that it would be 10 days after the initial deposit. So when was the initial deposit? It was on Wednesday, April 15th. So 10 days later, 10 business days, 10 regular days. If you do 10 regular days, that would put the slated payout for those receiving Social Security at Saturday, April 25th. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the IRS is really a Saturday-like company. So let's go ahead and put it at 10 business days. That would fit with what they did before, releasing the payment on a Wednesday. So with that in mind, the most likely date of those receiving Social Security benefits would be on Wednesday, April 29th to see that direct deposit. And I would also give the IRS another couple of days after that to make sure that all deposits go through. With 50 million people on Social Security expecting those payments on that date, it is likely the IRS will not get it all right, but I think you could probably expect about 40 million people or so to see it, with 10 million people struggling to figure out why the IRS has once again messed up. It is true that some people on Social Security or Social Security disability have seen their payment already, but that is related to their specific situation and their specific filing situation. Most people on Social Security have not yet seen it, but Wednesday, April 29th looks like your date to see it. So what about SSI? One good thing is SSI is now receiving their payments automatic. It took the IRS a really long time to figure out how to do that, which is kind of strange because they already have your information on file. But finally they did. However, the timing of the payout for those receiving SSI is a little bit more vague. The way the IRS put it is early May. No specific date, just early May. That kind of reminds me of a friend who owes you some money, and when you ask them, when are you going to pay me back, they give you some vague time period. How about early May? Which means you know you're not going to get it on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th. So with that scientific methodology used with the IRS, I'm going to put the best guess at the payment for SSI recipients on Wednesday, May 13th. That now brings us to the veterans, which unfortunately is the most vague group of all, at least with the IRS. So there is some good news, and then there is some bad news with the timing. The good news is that veterans are now going to automatically receive their payments. Just like SSI, veterans already have their information on file with the IRS, so it makes absolutely no sense that the IRS didn't initially do this. This was their official statement. Veterans and their beneficiaries who receive compensation and pension benefit payments from the VA will receive a $1,200 economic impact payment with no further action needed on their part. That's the good news. No further action needed on your part, they're going to automatically deposit it. Here's the bad news. Timing on the payments is still being determined. That means that they don't have a date to get that $1,200 payment to you, which is kind of weird because I'm not sure how difficult it really should be to just direct deposit it in whatever account you already have on file with the IRS and the US Treasury. But let's go ahead and use the scientific formula that we've already been using for all of these payments, and also seems like what the IRS is doing, which is making deposits on a Wednesday every 2 weeks. With that said, it looks like veterans can expect to see their payment on Wednesday, May 27th. This now covers those individuals who are receiving Social Security benefits, SSI benefits, and veteran benefits with the best information we have from the IRS. But what about those individuals who filed regular taxes or are non-filers? There's about 19.5 million of them who have yet to see their payments. What's going on there? Well, it depends on the situation. Many of those individuals used a tax service like TurboTax or H&R Block, and unfortunately, because of a lack of communication between those companies and the IRS, they failed to realize that those individuals did not actually have an account on file with the IRS. Their account was on file through that actual tax service. Now, TurboTax did let the IRS know this many weeks ago. The IRS did nothing about it. And so therefore, many of those individuals have not actually seen their payment yet because their account is not on file with the IRS. So when those individuals are going to actually see their payment depends on when the IRS can get their act together in that situation. Many of the other individuals just recently filed their taxes or used the IRS's non-filers or free file tax service, which means the IRS has yet to process your information. So if you just filed your taxes within the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, the IRS is still not up to date on your info, which means that they are not going to be able to send out a stimulus payment to you if they don't have it on file. However, they said that they are working on that and that they should have that out within the next week or two. And so by the end of May, I would expect that about 90% of the people who were supposed to receive a payment will have received a payment. Unfortunately, probably around 10% of the people still will not have received a payment. If I were you, I would not use the IRS tool at this point to locate your payment. It is next to useless. It can give you some information where you would think you're not going to get a payment, but it actually has nothing to do with that. So if you're not sure why you're seeing what you're seeing when you use that tool, then what's the point of using it? The best thing you can do is just wait. If you're on Social Security, you got about 2 more weeks to see your payment. If you're on SSI, you have 4 more weeks to see your payment. If you're a veteran, you have 6 more weeks to see your payment. And if you're a regular tax filer who used TurboTax, H&R Block, or another service, you just got to wait until the IRS and these companies figure out the information and get the money to you. And if you just filed your taxes within the last month, the IRS is processing your information right now and are supposed to get you a payment within the next couple of weeks. Hopefully this helps a lot of you out. If you find the information valuable, consider subscribing to the channel. We would love to have you come along with us. As always, we will catch you next time.